The candidates, they took on some of the issues that are most important to young voters. First, a recent story that's seen a lot of headlines. So, of course, we're talking about the death of Breonna Taylor. And then second, the sharp spike in student loan debt. Take a listen.
Well, our heart breaks for the loss of any innocent American life. And the family of Breonna Taylor has our sympathies. But I trust our justice system, a grand jury that refused the evidence. And it really is remarkable that as a former prosecutor, you would assume that an impaneled grand jury looking at all the evidence got it wrong.
And we'll use that money to invest in education. So, for example, for folks who want to go to a 2-year community college, it will be free. If you come from a family that makes less than $125,000, you'll go to a public university for free. And across the board, we'll make sure that if you have student loan debt, it's cut by $10,000. That's how Joe Biden thinks about the economy, which is it's about investing in the people of our country.
So which candidate did a better job reaching America's youngest voters? This morning, joining me to talk about that very subject is Natasha Zimmerman, who will be a first-time voter this year. Good morning to you, Natasha. First of all, welcome to the voting process. It's good to have you as a part of the process, and good morning to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I know you watched the debate last night. What was it that most stuck with you and most affected you that you heard last night?
I really did appreciate that they discussed Breonna Taylor. I think that that's something that a lot of young voters care about right now. So I thought it was nice that they brought it up and we got to hear from both sides. And I care a lot about the judicial system, especially. I think with Roe v. Wade being threatened of being overturned, it's really important to know how the candidates plan on attacking that issue. And I felt like they spoke very frankly about their opinions on both sides, so that really stuck with me. I felt like they didn't necessarily dodge the question too much when it came to that, so it was nice to get kind of a straight answer.
You know, speaking of dodging questions, there was a lot of that going on last night. I know that you just graduated from Arizona College Prep. You were the captain of the speech and debate team there when you were there. So I'm curious, the debate itself, who do you feel like won?
I personally would say that Harris won, but I thought they both did a very nice job. I think there were different standards going into the debate for both candidates. I think, especially with it being such a historic day for Kamala Harris, I think going into that, I mean, unfortunately, there is a bias. She is a woman, and she is a Black woman, and she is the first one to ever be on that historic stage. So I think going into it, there were some biases. I think a win for both candidates would have been different than the paradigms weren't the same. So I personally feel that Harris won, but I was very impressed with both sides.
Now, you bring up a really interesting issue, Natasha, as a young lady yourself. How much did it mean to you or matter to you that Harris is indeed a woman, and does that matter to your friends as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking with my friends from the speech and debate team just the other day about how it feels like growing up as a woman, you say so often that you want to see a female president, you want to see more women in government, but you always kind of have to come back with this retort of like, well, I wouldn't vote for somebody just because she's a woman. But more recently, it's felt like, why can't I vote for a woman just because they're a woman? I think women bring a different skill set to the table. I think women and men have fundamental differences that both sides recognize, and I think it would be really nice to have the female perspective in the White House. So it was incredibly exciting to hear that we would have a major vice presidential candidate that was a woman and that was representing us on that side.
You know, Natasha, they spent a lot of time talking about coronavirus. How much does that matter to you and to your generation?
I think it matters, especially because, you know, I went to a college prep school. College was always the goal, and now we're experiencing college remotely, which is, it's fine. You know, we want everybody to stay safe, but obviously it's a bit of a bummer. So I think coronavirus is really difficult for us to grasp because our futures are looking really different all of a sudden, and things that we took for granted are sort of being taken away from us for good cause. We want everybody to stay safe, and obviously this has affected far too many people. But I think as to which candidate is going to solve the issue of coronavirus, obviously we've criticized the current administration for how they've been handling it, but I don't know if another side could do a better job containing an issue that is so unprecedented.
You know, it's an interesting point too, because you actually go to school in California now as Azusa Pacific, but you're actually here in Chandler because you're doing remote learning. One final question on the lighter side here. All over social media this morning, they're talking about the fly on Mike Pence's head.
Yes, yeah, that was definitely exciting to see. It was a small thing, but it kind of lightened the tone of the debate, so.
All right. Well, Natasha Zimmerman, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and well, what a well-spoken young lady you are.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Gives us hope after speaking with these two young kids earlier this morning. So thank you, Gina. Well, next week, President Donald